Where is Agent Smith? Because I want to kick his ever-living ass right now. For those of you watching in the future, this is the second go-round because of technical difficulties. So, I don't want to harp on that too much. I'm definitely going to come back to the technical difficulties thing. Technology is pissing me off lately, so it's who knows? Who knows? Like, we're probably going to have a great presentation just because that happened. But yeah, basically the microphone has a green light when it's supposed to be working and a red one when it's muted. And it was green, so I just talked forever. But apparently it was muted. So yes, what's up everybody? I'm JayDreamerZ. We're doing... Oh, I'm in my feelings right now. I'm so in my feelings. We're doing Truth in Movies about The Matrix. Okay, this is a segment where I break down and give my esoteric interpretation of, or my interpretation of the esoteric symbolism that I find in movies. Because when I watch movies, I get stuff out of it every time. I almost am never just purely entertained or amused. I always learn something. I always walk away quiet and thinking about life. So, yes, hello everyone in the chat. It's good to see everybody. Yeah, technology, man. I'm gonna come back to that. There's a specific part in this movie where Agent Smith is giving a little dialogue, and I do want to. We're gonna definitely use my technical difficulties as a reference point to that. But yeah, we're gonna break down the original Matrix. I was gonna do all three of the movies, but I did not have time to break all three of them down and to take screenshots of all of them like I normally would. So we're just gonna do the original. We're gonna jump right into returning to where it all started, which is The Matrix, Part 1. Whew, man. Yes, thank you. Val L says, you were just warming up. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Blue Beam Me says, JayDreamerZ, take a deep breath. Hold it for 4 seconds. Let go for 4 seconds. Okay, I don't know if that was 4 seconds, but anyhow, man, that's so frustrating to me. I'm going to come back to those frustrations later because they're definitely a part of this movie. It's a part of our world. It's a part of life. So, I'm assuming everyone has seen this movie. If you haven't seen the movie, feel free to check it out because it's a classic. It's really good. It deals with simulation theory, and it begs the viewer to ask yourself, are you in a simulation? Are you a part of a simulation? And if so, are you one of the people who has yet to be unplugged? Or have you woken up from the simulation? Are you within the simulation right now? Lucid dreaming, essentially. Are you aware of what's going on around you? That's what this movie's all about. Now, I do want to talk about the color scheme here real quick because there's a lot of green. When you're inside of the Matrix, everything has a green tint to it. And that's mostly because when computer screens first came out, many of them had a green screen to them, okay? I don't know why. They just all had green, like Apple when it first came out. It was just all green, essentially. You'll also notice the storm symbolism as well, which is why there's these clouds on here. And the storm symbolism has to do with the apocalypse or the cyclical reoccurring apocalypse that happens to our world. The world storm that happens, the tempest that blows through our world from time to time. It's the Great Reset. And this movie is no exception to the symbolism of the reset. This coding you'll see in the movie quite a lot. It's also referred to as green rain, which is really interesting. This is the coding that everything in the Matrix is made out of. Most people can't see it. If you were able to see it, most of those people cannot interpret it, right? Many of those people, at least according to the movie. That's how the movie makes it look. It's very interesting to me, the green rain symbolism. So here it is, The Matrix, the original. Now we start off with a trace program that's running. Somebody's trying to trace somebody else. Somebody's trying to find somebody else. It's the agents in the movie that are trying to trace the whereabouts of those who are awake, those who have woken from the dream world of the Matrix, who are unplugged, and they're not able to find them. They're not able to locate them. Essentially, they've dropped off of the radar because they're unplugged from the Matrix, but then they're reinserted back into the Matrix so that they can go help other people. Hey, welcome, Barry. Barry Eubank just became a member. Good to see you. So, this is how it all starts, with a trace program by the agents. The agents are trying to find those who are awake within the Matrix itself. Why? Because the agents want to stop the people who are awake from waking up everybody else, because it's going to ruin their plans. So we start off, the first scene here is there's like this, I think this is like a hotel. I believe it's called the Heart of the City Hotel. And it's in room 303, which is interesting because without the 0, you've got 33. But behind this door is Trinity, which is the number 3 as well, right? So these cops go up there. They go to room 303. Now, in computer language, you may have experienced an error called error 303 when trying to navigate the internet. It might say http/ error 303. This is called a redirect. So somebody's inside of this room trying to redirect. It's Trinity. She's inside of the room. Here's another example. It's error 303. It says see other. Sometimes it's called see other. So symbolically speaking, in computer code, hey, what's up, Sarah? Welcome. This room symbolizes seeing other, or seeing differently, seeing in a different way, right? It's a redirect to take you somewhere else as well. So these cops are all just plugged into the Matrix, okay? They're regular people that have no idea. They're not awake. They're just there to do their job, right? And that's literally what the cop tells the agent at the beginning. I'm just doing my job. Don't give me that jurisdiction crap or whatever, right? That's pretty much the mentality of a lot of the sleepers in this world. The people who are sleepwalking around this world, they do that all the time. Regardless of how bad they're acting or how immoral, oftentimes they say, hey, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. So they bust in here. Trinity is sitting there all by herself on a laptop. What's she doing? She's monitoring the One. She's watching. She's a watcher. I've talked about this and alluded to the Watchers in several of my other videos. Hey, what's up, Donna? Welcome, everyone. Jeez, it's good to see you all. The Watchers, are they watching humanity? Possibly. I think they're also watching for the blue beam. They're looking for the return of the blue beam. If you don't know what the blue beam is, you'll have to check out my Plasma Apocalypse playlist. But essentially, the blue beam is a beam that shoots up. It's the light of the world that shoots up from the middle of our world, from within the hollow portions of the earth, and it restores balance to this world. It restores and brings to our world a great jubilee, as it was once called. We get the word jubilee because every time this great reset comes along, the people are set free. Right now, you're all slaves. We're slaves. I'm a slave. Everyone's a slave to this system, that the movie calls the Matrix, right? So they bust in there. Trinity's watching. She's spying on Neo, basically. I'm going to tell you right now, Neo is the blue beam. So here's where they are. The Heart of the City Hotel. The heart, not of the city, but the city. 0. There's this little circle there. The Heart of the City Hotel. And see how it's written in blue, or that sort of whitish baby blue color? That's what color the blue beam is that shoots up out of the middle of the world. And that's where she is monitoring the One, Neo, the one who is prophesied to return, to be born within the world, the Matrix, our world, and to set people free. Blue beam me. Hey, welcome, blue beam me. Good to see you again. All right, now check this out. I took a picture of this. Here's all the cops outside. Over here, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. There's a Kung Fu studio. I never noticed that before. I just wanted to share that because, obviously Neo learns Kung Fu. It's the first thing that he learns or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so the cops bust in. Trinity proceeds to whoop all of their butts. Now, the cops tell the agents who show up, because the agents are like, hey, man, you were not supposed to go in there. And he's like, I think we can handle one little girl. Yes, but we're talking about one little girl who essentially has been freed from this world. This is the world with the blue sky. This is the world that lacks magic. This is the world that lacks spirit and soul and heart and energy. However, once those things are returned to this world, it's my belief, based on my research so far, that those who survive the cataclysm, those who survive the reset, essentially inherit what I would call superpowers. And there's many various reasons for that, but I'm not going to get into it right now. So, Trinity calls Morpheus, and he's like, hey, they cut the hard line. You're stuck in there now. Now you're going to have to run, okay? You can't get out of the Matrix. So check this out. This is really interesting. This is how they travel. This is how they leave the Matrix, is through the phone lines, through the phone system, right? Which is really interesting because Keanu Reeves was also in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where they travel through the phone system or the circuits of time. Excuse me. So he says there's a phone at Wells and Lake. Now, I know some people are like, oh, well, these are actual Chicago, streets or whatever. This city is no actual real city. This city where this takes place is more like a video game city. It's not based off of any real city. It's got elements of many major cities inside of it. But I find it interesting. Like a wishing well, which is a hole in the ground where there's, like water down at the bottom or whatever, and lake. There's a lot of these types of references to water as well when it comes to the exit points. All right, so Trinity's taking off. She's running. The agent is chasing after her on the rooftops. And right here, it says Siren on the bottom. I like to watch with captions just to see what extra little tidbits I can get. Siren is interesting to me because it's something we've discussed in the past. We've talked about the symbolism of various types of ghosts, apparitions, and things of that nature. A siren, I believe, is also one of those, right? A siren is essentially, or has been known throughout time to be sort of like a ghost-like apparition that screams or yells or is heard crying or making some sort of a noise. I also believe that the siren represents plasma that enters into this world, aka spirit, and as it shoots past at various speeds, it also makes sounds. So here we go. The very first thing, the leap of faith. What is she doing with her hand? I just noticed that. Do you see that little hand symbol? What is this? Let's check that out real quick. What is that? She's like, it's the middle finger. I wonder what that's for. I don't know. All right. Well, anyways, this is what I call the leap of faith. Okay. You see this a lot, oftentimes in the movies, where a character has to jump over a ridiculous distance. Nura, welcome. Good to see you. The character has to jump over a ridiculous distance. They have to have some kind of faith that they're not going to fall to their death. This is in a lot of different movies. Probably the one that comes to mind the most is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where he has to like really have faith and stuff, and then he could just walk on air or whatever. This is seen in a lot of different movies, though. I believe that this is symbolic. Hey, welcome, Gift of Wisdom. Good to see you. I believe this is symbolic of when people have gone in the past to the North Pole. There used to be land at the North Pole, and there may still be land there today. And it's on many of the ancient and old maps, and even the very first globe that was ever created. In the middle of those four lands at the North Pole, there's essentially an entrance that goes down into the earth, a huge cavernous opening. I refer to this opening as the Plasma Volcano. You can call it whatever you'd like to call it. However, because it's such a huge opening and it's right at the middle of our world where all of our compasses point towards, I believe, and it's my theory based on my research so far, that if a person were to try to get into the hollow portions of the earth, all they have to do is to jump. Because what happens is if you jump, you're not just going to fall and fall and fall and fall forever or whatever, but you're going to float because gravity starts to adhere to the sides of that cavernous opening. Because what we call gravity, I know some people don't like that word, that watch my channel, but hey, call it what you like, whatever sticks people to the ground. It's the ground itself. It's the earth itself, and it's the energy that is flowing through the earth and up and around the sky itself, right? So anyways, if a person were to jump into that hole, gravity would bend. It would change. It would be manipulated because of the shape of the earth and how it's changing as they go down. And this guy, he's totally plugged into the Matrix. This cop, he's like, that's impossible. Well, of course. However, it's only impossible to him. It's only impossible to the people who are still plugged into this world. They have all been programmed. I'm going to say we have all been programmed, because I once thought, many of these same things. I once believed in complete academic gibberish and little factoids, and I was a Jeopardy expert and all that type of stuff, right? I knew everything that the schools had taught. So I would also say that's impossible. That cannot happen. But when you have been unplugged from this reality as it's presented to us, your mind is open to so much more, and the possibilities are now endless. I wanted to pull up in this trivia here. Oh, it says that they used some of the set from the movie Dark City. I also broke down the movie Dark City. I think it was the first one I ever did. But yeah, there's a lot of correlation between Dark City and The Matrix. Many other movies, kind of have a Matrix Dark City sort of vibe. But those two, to me, are the classic backbone to wondering about our reality and questioning our reality. So Trinity's trying to get away from the agents. There's a phone booth right there. Boom. That's how she has to get out of the Matrix. Why? Is it really, is it like in our world? Like if we wanted to escape this world, right? Let's just say that we're trapped in our world, right? That you can't actually go out into space and that people cannot actually leave. I don't know if you know this, but NASA actually says we can't. We live in a closed system and we can't leave because of what they call the Van Allen belts that are wrapped around our world. Those Van Allen belts coincide with an electromagnetic barrier that modern and mainstream academics refers to as the magnetosphere, okay? The magnetosphere keeps in a layer of plasma, which is a plasma sphere, and it keeps out a layer of plasma, which is also the plasma sphere. I believe we're only taught about one of those in school, though. But the only way we can get out is when the sky opens, when that barrier, the electromagnetic barrier, goes down, and now there is no gravitational force field, or electromagnetic, I should say, electromagnetic force field that keeps other things from coming in and keeps us and restricts us from leaving, right? So once that hole opens up in the sky, the world depressurizes from time to time. It's a part of the plasma apocalypse that I talk about. What happens is a hole opens up directly above the North Pole where all of the pressure in our world goes straight up to. That electromagnetic barrier is keeping the pressure in right now. The moment that electromagnetic barrier goes down during an electromagnetic neutral point, boom, all of that pressure goes right to the top, blows the sky open right at the top, blows a hole in the dome. Now, if you were to travel through that hole, I believe on the other side exist what I call plasma conduits, tunnels. Passageways, right? Just swirling and spiraling. Various Native American tribes would refer to this as like their Sipapoo. I believe many people mistake that hole or that opening in the sky for what they call Planet X or Nibiru or the place of the crossing, right? Just like in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they also use the circuits of time to go to these different times, which I believe are just different Earths, alternate Earths that look like you're in a different time. It has the exact same formula for Earth, for a world, just like our world. Hey, Terrell, thanks for subscribing. Good to see you. But if you were to leave this world, go travel through those plasma conduits, aka those circuits of time or those phone lines. See, that the reason it's referred to as like a phone line, the way that they travel, is because it's a circuit that passes along information. So if a person is traveling from one realm to another realm, they are essentially made of information, okay? So they travel through these phone lines, circuits of time, whatever. Doctor Who does the exact same thing in his TARDIS, which is a call box or a phone, essentially. Superman also changes from a regular guy into a superhero whenever he goes into these phone booths. And I believe that's the symbolism that's behind that, because a person could leave this world. You could appear to be a regular old human with no power whatsoever, but whenever you go through those openings, those circuits of time, those plasma conduits, whatever you'd like to refer to them as, and then you get to your destination, all of a sudden you might be in a world where the gravitational pull is far less strong, or there's way less pressure, right? And you would be like a superhero. All right, so one of the agents manifests himself. They can plug themselves into regular people who have not been unplugged, those who have not awoken from this false reality, from the way that the world is today, those who are still plugged into the matrix. Any agent can plug itself into and basically possess. This is what I call plasma possession. They can possess anybody at any point in time. And unless that person is completely removed from the matrix itself. So anyways, this guy goes into a garbage truck. This is garbage. This is also symbolic. It didn't have to be a garbage truck. It could have been a semi, it could have been a Mack truck, it could have been anything, right? They wanted something big for the purposes of the movie. However, I've pointed out the garbage truck symbolism before. When I talk about the junkyard world, it's a part of the plasma apocalypse. Essentially, when the world depressurizes and we lose our gravitational pull momentarily and there's a worldwide tempest, everything gets sucked up into that opening up in the sky, right? However, the gravitational force, or whatever you like to call it, is restored and things slowly fall back down, which results in piles and piles of trash or debris or garbage or whatever you'd like to call it, and the survivors sift through that. They're become essentially trash diggers in the new world, trying to find relics of the ancient world of the gods that has technology that we now live in, right? So that they could reuse it for their own purposes or repurpose it for something new. And that's also like that's also where we get like the steampunk era, right? The steampunk technology and whatnot. All right, so the agents smashed through that phone booth. However, Trinity escaped, and they're like, she got out. She got out of this world. That's the whole point. These guys are super jealous right now because they all want out, especially Agent Smith right here. He hates this place. He can't stand it. He wants every human being to just be dead, basically, or he wants all of the awakened people, the woke, whatever you like to call them. He wants all of them dead. He doesn't want any issues. He doesn't want any anomalies or anything. He says, we have the name of their next target. The name is Neo. Neo means new, right? So we're talking about and referencing a reset, somebody or something that represents, it's a symbol. We're talking about a symbol that means new, right? The world is new. It's the new age. It's the new era. It's the new world. The world will be completely different. It's not the end of the world completely. It's the end of the world as we know it right now. All right, so they shoot to over here to Neo, who they were just talking about. Now, Neo is represented by a human in the movie. I do not believe, personally, that Neo is actually a human. I don't think that there are humans. I think Neo represents something completely different, and I'm gonna get into that here in a bit. There's also something in here that has his name on it. It's these books right here. It's hard to see, but it says Neo right there on those books. So he's asleep. This is the first thing that they show. Neo is sleeping. He's not awake. He's not the symbol that the Watchers are looking for, right? He's essentially not around yet. He's not manifested in the way that the Watchers are looking for, right? All right, so on the computer it says, wake up, Neo. And all of a sudden, he starts to come out of his daze, and he looks up at the computer screen and he's like, whoa. And it says, the Matrix has you. And then it says, it instructs Neo, and it's also instructing you. So anytime it's talking to the character in the movie, it's also talking to us, directly to us. I believe that these are messages that are given directly to us. You guys can hear me, right? Wouldn't that suck? God, wouldn't that just be terrible? Hold on. Sorry, I'm still a little bit under the weather. Anyhow, so they give an instruction. Okay, this is to those who have the spirit of Neo inside of you. All right, I'm just gonna cut to the chase so that I don't have to be so enigmatic about who Neo represents or what he represents. Neo represents the blue beam that shoots up out of this world. Right now, the energy's coming downward, wrapping around our world, giving us sunlight and daytime and the moon and all kinds of interesting things. However, when the electromagnetics of our world reverses, right? We hit that neutral point, which causes cataclysm and the reset, as we would call it. We also reference the reset in the movie The Mandela Effect, which they give great visual example of the reset, right? Anyway, so they say, follow the white rabbit. They're talking to you. Neo represents the sign that we're all looking for. He represents what most people, commonly refer to as their savior type gods. It is the blue beam that shoots up from the middle of the world. We'll come back to that in a bit. But they're talking to us. They say, follow the white rabbit. That's from Alice in Wonderland, right? The first thing Alice does whenever she's, whenever she leaves the regular world, which, by the way, Alice doesn't want to be in this regular world. If you watch Alice in Wonderland, the whole reason that she starts following this white rabbit is because she's sitting there listening to some boring academic lecture from like her mom or her aunt or somebody. And she's like, basically you get the impression this is so boring. This is so lame that I would rather be somewhere else. And I think a lot of us, and even the elite of this world, feel similarly, that they would rather be somewhere else. I would rather be somewhere else. So she follows the white rabbit. So what is the white rabbit? I want to talk about this for just a second longer. I talk about creatures that I call Fantazoids. Fantazoids are essentially aliens, okay? But they don't always have to look humanoid in appearance. There are Fantazoids that are monstrous in appearance. There are Fantazoids that look like gigantic bugs and all kinds of weird, strange things. Why? Because they live outside of this world where they're not subject to the pressure that is building up inside of this world, that is pushing on us from all sides, keeping us small and shrinking us down in size and stature over time. It's basically, we live in an incredibly shrinking world, right? Now, Rab or Rav means guide. It means teacher. It means wise teacher, great one, things like that in Phoenician and Hebrew, right? Ravot would essentially sort of be, I'm sort of twisting that word right now because I still have more etymological studies to do on it, but that would be plural of Rav, the Ravi, the Ravot. But yes, I understand that it's not actually a feminine suffix in Hebrew, in modern Hebrew. Anyway, doesn't matter. The rabbit is late, right? He's always trying to get somewhere. He goes into this tunnel, right? And Alice follows him, and she ends up in a wonderland, a land that's completely different from the world that she knows. Knock, knock, Neo. Who is it? Sounds like a joke, right? It's Choi. So some dude's at the door. His name's Choi. And remember, they pick names in these movies specifically for what they symbolize. So if you ever want to learn a lot more about the movies that you're watching and what it's trying to talk to you about, look up the names. I started doing this when I was researching the Bible, right? There's really boring parts in the book of Genesis where it's like, John beget Sarah and Sarah beget Fred. And you know what I mean? I'm just making that up, but it's really boring. It's just the genealogies. And I was like, I don't like this. It's gotta mean more than that. So I looked up what the names mean. And then all of a sudden it cast a brand new light on it. So Choi means a high mountain. Well, interesting. So Neo follows the white rabbit as instructed, and what does he see? A high mountain, which is this guy right here. His name's Choi. Now, Neo happens to live in apartment number 101, right? 101 is code for like a neophyte. It's a beginner. If you take a class in college and you're in like math 101 or whatever it may be, that means you're a beginner. You're just starting off. So it's appropriate that we're starting off in room number 101. So here's Choi, representative of a high mountain. What mountain? Mount Meru, the mountain of the earth. There is one mountain, I believe, that is the mountain of all mountains, which I believe and I call the Plasma Volcano. So he's like, you're 2 hours late. Now remember, he's supposed to follow the white rabbit. The white rabbit is always saying, I'm late for a very important date. No time to say, hello, goodbye, I'm late, right? Or something like that, it might go. So he's like, yeah, I know, it's her fault. So we'll come back to her in a minute. So he gives Neo some money because he's creating some sort of hacker program for these guys. I don't know what for or whatever. He puts it in a book, and it's in the chapter called On Nihilism. Nihilism is essentially whenever, like, some of you may have been here in your life where you just feel like, man, you feel like you've learned about all of the different truths that the world has to offer. You get to a point where you feel like nothing matters. You know what I mean? Like there's no free will. Like this is all just on a script, and it doesn't really matter what we do. I understand. I don't happen to follow nihilism, but I have been on that cliff. I've been hanging on to that cliff in my past. And then I find it interesting because he takes the money he just got and he puts it right there that says on nihilism, which means meaningless. This money is meaningless. He just gave him a bunch of paper with pictures on it, right? Isn't that insane? That's our society. That's what we strive to do, is to have somebody hand us little pieces of paper with pictures on them. You can't use it for anything. After the apocalypse, if you were to find this whole stack of money, it would be good for burning to turn into fire to keep yourself warm and maybe to wipe your butt. I'm just going to be honest. Sorry. I know it's gross, but whatever. All right. So anyways, this book is called Simulacra and Simulation. So it's a book about possible world simulation. This guy says, you're my savior, man. Now listen, they pay attention in the movies because they do this all the time. If somebody says, oh my God, or Jesus Christ, or whatever, like usually another person will go, yeah, or what, or you know what I mean? Like they're referencing someone. So they're talking about Neo, who is the sign, who is the omen, who is the symbol, who is the light, okay? In the movie, at the very least, okay? I don't want to get into any religious, discussions with people because I know everyone has their religion, everyone has their belief systems. I'm not knocking yours. I'm just interpreting through my lens, my perspective, okay? I'm not going to go there with, debating about if Jesus was a real person or Muhammad or Allah or any of those gods, okay? To me, they represent a quintessential reality that we have all but forgotten about. And we only have that reality in our religions, in our stories, in our myths, and we have little breadcrumbs because we've forgotten it. Some sort of amnesia has been cast over the entire world, keeping us from the actual reality of who these saviors are. Right? Anyway, so that when that blue beam, the reason that the blue beam is known as the savior or Neo is because right now our world sucks. Right now there's no magic, there's no life, there's nothing. The world is altogether corrupt. It's altogether evil and bad with, anomalies here and there of goodness and kindness and love and things like that, which I love. However, that when that reversal happens, there is a light that shoots upwards instead of the light coming downward. A light shoots upwards. The whole sky lights up because the light is wrapping around our world going up instead of coming down at us, right? It's kind of like if somebody shines a real bright flashlight in your direction. When the light is coming towards you, it's hard to see anything behind it. So now when we look up at the sky, we just see dark blackness. When in reality, there is no space. It's just the fullness up there. There's all kinds of beauty and huge and amazing things to be found up there if we were able to turn that flashlight around and look that way. My own personal Jesus Christ. So they're pretty blunt about that, right? That Neo represents Jesus Christ or various savior figures. On her arm, you can see the white rabbit. So Neo checks it out. He follows her. He gets to this crazy, weird club. I'm not even going to go into, all the weirdness at this club. But he meets Trinity, okay? Trinity and the One go hand in hand. The three and the One, okay? Now, just speaking from a plasma apocalypse symbolic perspective, the One is Mount Meru, where the main blue beam shoots up. However, it may be, just like we learned in our studies when we were talking about the pillars of Hercules or Heracles, however you'd like to pronounce it, right? There may be, on ancient maps, it shows that there are these other smaller, possible 2 other plasma volcanoes off to the sides of the land at the middle of the North Pole. So there may be 2 smaller ones off to the sides, which could account for the shifting of the magnetic pole. in our world, right? Because there could be more than one, essentially. Anyway, so there's possibly 3 lights that shoot up, but then when they shoot up, they meet, they come together, and they form one. There's the 3 and the 1 symbolism. All right, so this is where Mr. Anderson works. Christian Taylor, hey, welcome to my channel. Mr. Anderson works at a place called Meta Cortex. Interesting because Facebook recently changed their name to Meta, which I think is retarded, but whatever, that's me. I don't like Facebook anyway. And Meta, people will say Meta means beyond. It really doesn't. However, if you do a word search on the word meta, it actually means it's repetitive, pertaining to self, pertaining to the subject, right? So for example, cortex means it's a part of the brain, okay? So cortex right here symbolizes thinking. So meta thinking is thinking about thinking, essentially. All right. Oh, here it is right here. I didn't even know I took a screenshot. So in the Greek, it says the prefix meta is generally less esoteric than in English. The Greek meta is equivalent to the Latin word post or add. The use of the prefix in this sense occurs occasionally in scientific English terms derived from the Greek. Welcome, Jay. For example, the term metatheria, the name of the clade, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to skip that part. Hold on. The prefix meta, I'm looking right here now, is used to mean about its own category. It's redundant, okay? For example, metadata are data about data. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into that. All right, so here's the green rain. Once again, they're going to show you this. They're constantly showing you this sort of green rain. I believe that it's... Let me talk about the code, the matrix code, and the green rain, okay? It's coding in the form of light. When they show you the matrix code, it's made out of light, okay? It's not actually computer this and that. It's light. It's pure light in its essence, and it is raining down onto us. So the world that we are in right now, this matrix code would fall down on us and wrap around us like rain, right? Until the electromagnetic flip or polarity reversal, when that light will go upwards instead of coming down. Right now it's coming down, so it's symbolized like rain. Also, you can see that it's kind of blurry right here, and then when this guy wipes it, it becomes clear. He takes the rain away. He takes away the coding, the light that is coming down onto us right now. When you get rid of that, you can see clearly. And it also mentions this in the Bible in 1 Corinthians 13, if you're a biblical person, when it talks about being able, like, it talks about how we don't understand things. We can't understand the completeness of everything right now. In the world that we're in, we're lacking connection. We're lacking telekinesis, telepathy, various forms of what I call magic. However, when that is restored to this world, all of a sudden, many people instantly just, they get it. It's hard to explain. Anyways, so this guy's boss, right, Mr. Anderson's boss, is like, you have a problem with authority, Mr. Anderson. I love Neo already. I bet this is probably when many of you guys fell in love with Neo. You're like, I don't even know who Neo is, but I love this dude. He has a problem with authority. Great. Grand. Wonderful. I do too. I'm on board. I love Neo. He's cool, right? You believe that you are special, that somehow the rules do not apply to you. Obviously, you are mistaken. Let's take a step back. Rewind that before we talk about how he's mistaken. They're talking to you, remember. They're not talking to Neo. They're not talking to Mr. Anderson. By the way, Anderson, the word Ender, just like Ender or Ender's Game, remember that movie? Ender, whatever variations, means human, okay? So it means man or mankind or humankind. So Anderson means son of man. The son of man. Another epithet for Jesus. He says that somehow the rules do not apply to you. Check this out. Let me blow your mind. The rules do not apply to you. Unless you let them. Unless you allow these rules, this system that we live in right now, the world as it is today, the only way these rules apply to us is because we give in. We're cowards. We've become spineless and weak and frail and lacking spirit and energy. That's why those of us who have so much of it can't help but to be You know what I mean? Obviously, you're mistaken. No, pal, obviously you're mistaken. Or is he? Right? He just said the rules don't apply to him, and he's totally right, actually. However, these people are all plugged into the matrix, right? Everything is upside down to these people in comparison to the way we feel and the way we see it. The time has come to make a choice, Mr. Anderson. They're not talking to Mr. Anderson. They're talking to the son of mankind or the daughter of mankind, whoever you may be. They're talking to you. The time has come to make a choice. What are you going to do with your life? Are you going to stand there and just stand in the rain and not be able to see anything because it's all blurry, it doesn't make any sense? Or are you going to make a choice? Leap of faith time, right? So he starts, he has to go up to the top of this building. Totally drops his phone. This part gives me vertigo. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, yo, man, nah. I understand. He decides he's not going to listen to Morpheus. He doesn't want to go to the top of the building, so he allows himself to get arrested, right? Nobody ever makes the first jump, okay? People get scared. I understand. I've been there. But with practice comes great responsibility. Oh, wait, that's a different movie. Practice makes perfect, right? So then we see these sort of monitors, and when you zoom into the monitor, you're inside of this room with Neo. However, we know what these monitors are already. Hey, Gary, thanks for the donation and the green popcorn. Appreciate it. All right, so these monitors belong to the architect. These are all completely different realities. Now, if they're different, thank you, Val. Oh, man, I'm going to have to sit up higher. All this popcorn is building up. All right, so these are all completely different realities. This is not different monitors for the same room in the same world. These are different monitors. You could basically see these monitors as the domes that cover various Earths in the multiverse, okay, or in the fractalverse, which is what I like to call it. Man, there's a lot of popcorn. Anyways, so these are all different Neos. These are all different versions of you or of me or of us. And if you like movies that talk about that type of a subject with the multiverse or the fractalverse, check out the new Spider-Man. Wow. My best friend invited me to go to see Spider-Man No Way Home. Man, I'm like, bro, which reality am I in? Like, that's insane. That movie blew my mind too. All right, so anyways, so we zoom into the current reality or the current world or whatnot, where Agent Smith's like, as you can see, we've had our eye on you for some time. Interesting that he says I and not eyes. We have had our eye, right? I mean, I know it's an expression. I know, but where does it come from? That's incorrect. I'm a grammar person, okay? I'm a literary person. Like, it bothers me when it says we have had our eye, singular, our plural, eye, singular, boom. One eye. It's the eye in the sky. It's the all-seeing eye. It's the hole that opens up when the world depressurizes, okay? Anyways, I thought that was interesting. So they open up Neo's file, and he says he's talking about how he lives two different lives. His name is Thomas, Thomas Anderson in The Matrix. Thomas means twin, okay? He has a twin. Something interesting to think about. Who is Neo's twin? Maybe this new movie will reveal that. Wouldn't it be weird if it was Trinity? They do look pretty similar. Anyway, what was I looking at? Oh, right here. Here's his passport. His passport expires on September 11th. 2001. How crazy was that? What an interesting coinky-dink. The other life is lived in computers where you go by the hacker alias Neo. Neo is an anagram for one. The one. Oneness, togetherness. It also is the one beam that shoots up or whatever, right? Trinity represents all three of the beams. Neo represents the beam that shoots up from Plasma Volcano, aka Mount Meru. We know that you've been contacted, Blackbird, thank you, by a certain individual, a man who calls himself Morpheus. Now, Morpheus is a really interesting name that they chose. Man, I can't get around the popcorn. This is crazy. So Morpheus. Morpheus is the god of dreams, right? He's representative of being able to navigate dreams, right? And helping people essentially to wake up from them or to fall back asleep. Man who calls himself Morpheus. Boom. Now all of a sudden, check this out. So imagine symbolically, this is our world. This is you. You're right there. Somebody who's waking up or trying to wake up, right? The world itself is on the verge of mass enlightenment, or it could be. It has the potential right now. So what do the agents do? Those who don't want anyone to wake up when they want to implement a way to keep people from spreading the truth about the Matrix. Boom. You can see it. You know what I'm referencing. You already know what I'm talking about. Pa-pow! They cover the mouth. Now he can't talk about it, right? Now he's too muffled. Nobody's going to understand him. He becomes a slave. They try to enslave Neo right now by covering his mouth. He's muffled. It literally says that right there, right? Interesting. So then they grab him because he refuses to cooperate, and they bug him. They put their technology in him to track him. Remember, they were using a trace program at the very beginning because they needed to track these people, the enlightened, those who are waking up. I'm going to have to move the popcorn over. Hold on 1 second. It's bothering me now. Can we scooch that? Hold on 1 second. I'll be right with you. Popcorn and that right there. Possibly. Oh, boom. Uno momento. I'll be right with you. Okay, whatever. We'll scooch that. There's all the popcorn. Look how much popcorn there is. That's crazy. And then the actual popcorn. Por favor. There we go. Okay, sweet. All right, cool. I can still grab some. All right, cool. Let me go ahead and lock that up so I don't accidentally move it. All right, so they put their technology inside of us because this is your cell phone. Okay, I'm just going to come right out and say it. This is technology. This is your cell phone. This is all kinds of different things. This is probably stuff that we eat. I mean, God knows how crazy and how in-depth it gets. But if we don't willingly help them, then we unwillingly help them. And we have to figure out ways to get rid of that technology so that we can't be traced or tracked or things of that nature, right? All right, so he thinks it's a dream. He wakes up, he gets a call, and they say to go to the Adams Street Bridge. Adam, like Adam and Eve who lived in the Garden of Eden, and a bridge, like the Rainbow Bridge, right? This is kind of hard to explain because it requires a lot of different research. But essentially, when you see the bridge symbolism, it's a bridge between worlds, okay? It's a bridge between our world on the surface and the hollow portions within, and the bridge between our world on the surface and what lies beyond in the macrocosm. So he gets inside. There's all that rain symbolism still right there. Neo's still in the rain, right? All of that coding is coming down at him. And they point the gun at him. Okay, APOC, lights. Interesting to me that she says APOC lights, because APOC is short for apocalypse, right? And then the apocalypse is what is in control of the lights. It can turn the lights on, it can turn the lights off in our world. The sunlight, the stars, all of that. So she says, we think that you're bugged. And he's like, Jesus Christ, that thing is real. Here's another reference to the good old JC. And they put a bug in him. They put this nasty thing. They put this thing inside of him. They had to take it out. They had to get all that garbage and all that disgusting nastiness that was inside of his body out so that he can wake up and snap out of it. We have this inside of us, okay? I do. I know that. Maybe it doesn't look exactly like that because it's a movie. But it's in all of our products, okay? It's disgusting. Everything that we eat. How many times have you gone to your refrigerator or your cabinets, even though they might be packed full of food, and just shook your head saying, man, it doesn't even matter what I choose. It's all poison. It's all disgusting. It's all gross. It's all fake. It's all nasty. It's all full of bleh, right? At least that's me. That's how I feel quite often. So I'm working on drinking water, cleansing out my system, you know, different things that I can do. Okay, I can't recommend to you. You do your thing. I'm going to do mine. I'm trying to cleanse out my system. So they take out this this bug, which has a little red light. The light goes away. It's red because it represents the red plasma. The red plasma is here to kill. It's here to tear apart. It's here to destroy. It's representative by Agent Smith. Agent Smith wants everybody dead, essentially. That's what the red plasma does. It's here to clean house. The blue plasma is quite the opposite. The blue plasma is here to invigorate and bring life and things of that nature. And you see how it's a little spiral there, too? Sort of like DNA, like a DNA strand. Now, speaking of spirals, we go immediately to a spiral staircase scene. So, if you ever see the spiral staircase scene, this is in many different movies. There's a reason they put it in there, because it messes with your subconscious mind, okay? Yeah, okay, spiral staircases might be cool, I guess, you know, but not that cool that you have to put them in like every other movie or whatever. They're symbolic. They represent the spiraling plasma conduits, like I was referencing earlier, right? That take you from one reality to another reality. So whenever you see characters traversing a spiral staircase, usually the stuff is about to hit the fan. Usually you're about to go from one reality or one extreme to another. This one right here happens to be the black and white checkerboard floor of the Illuminati or whatever. According to my research, right? My research indicates to me that the checkerboard floor, the black and white tiles, are representative of the fractalverse or space. If you were to leave this world and look around, you would see the white spots, which is space, because I believe space is actually more of a brilliant, colorful white, a shimmering white color, instead of a black darkness. I don't believe in black dark space. I used to, but I don't anymore. The blackness is the space that is above us that covers our world. Essentially, each one of these black tiles represents an alternate Earth, a realm that is covered or dark, or a dark city. Just like we talked about, Dark City and the Matrix have, you know, they're correlated, right? So you have your black squares or boxes or containers, which is really what it is. And then you have in between the whiteness and the splendor of the heavens or space, right? And there's many different worlds therein. All right, then we've got Morpheus, who says, right now I imagine you're feeling a bit like Alice. Now there's Alice reference again, right? Tumbling down the rabbit hole. Now, they wear black all the time when they decide to go into the Matrix. When they're not in the Matrix, they don't usually wear a lot of black that I've seen, right? I believe that the reason they wear black is because they are the priests of this world. They are the enlightened ones of this world. The blackness, the darkness, represents the dark city, the dark world. So they wear the color that represents where they are, essentially, right? We live in a covered world, a closed world, a dark world, a world that is only lit up because of that spotlight that goes around from time to time called the sun or the moon or, you know, stars on occasion too. So he says, do you know what I'm talking about? Yes, Morpheus, some of us do know what you're talking about. He says, do you want to know what it is? Now, interesting. He says, he doesn't say, do you want to know what the Matrix is? He says, do you want to know what it is? I do, right? It, those two letters, I and T, it is referenced in so many different movies, and it's just, it's almost subliminal. It's so simple of a word, but it is actually a description of something that is so huge out there in the fractalverse that it encompasses. It's you can only call it basically, because it's so grand, it's so gigantic. You can only really refer to it as it because you can't see all of it. You can only feel the effects. It's hard to describe, but I do have a video about that in my Plasma Apocalypse playlist. And I think it's under, if you want to look for it, it's under one called Plasma Tentacles and Space Brains. That was a fun one. He says, the Matrix is everywhere. So check this out. The classic red or blue pill. This is, why is it red and blue? Red versus blue, right? It's the color of our sky. The blue sky is the one you have right now. If you want to take that and you want to live in the world as it is, the crappy, sucky, lifeless world that is here today, take the blue pill. That's the blue sky. You can live under the blue sky. That's the world that has been flooded, etc. All of the energy is being drained out of it. Or you can take the red pill and choose to live in the red sky, right? Which is really interesting because the plasma symbolism is actually reversed. Anyways, so they represent the colors of the sky, and he says, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. We do have a rabbit hole in our world, like I talked about Mount Meru, and the various cave systems that go and extend into the hollow portions of our world. This is a scene from Total Recall, which I also broke this movie down as well. There's a red pill. So in this movie, Mr. Quaid here, I forgot what his name was, Dennis or something? Dennis Quaid? Anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger is trapped in his own mind in this sort of dream world. And in order to escape it, he's offered a red pill to escape the dream world. Very similar. Here's a reference to the Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz also is highly esoteric. It's all about the same thing. It's all about leaving this black and white, garbage, bland, monotonous, mundane, garbage-filled world and going to a place that's colorful and different with higher vibrations and things of that nature. Anyway, so he says, Kansas is going bye-bye. This is Cypher. So check this out. Neo looks at the mirror, which is all cracked. Now check this out. The mirror fixes itself. Interesting, right? The cracks in the mirror go away, just like the cracks in the sky or the dome, however you'd like to see it. The cracks in the sky will fix themselves, right? I believe that firmament, as they refer to it, is solid and that it's made out of hardened water, aka ice. Okay, and when it cracks open, I did a research story in one of my videos about the blue ice in Antarctica. All right, there was a story about how there's these government people down in Antarctica, and one guy went down there, and they were finding this super cold ice that's just solid blue, and they couldn't take it out of Antarctica because the second it started to get even a little bit warm, it would just disappear, right? However, when they dug into what they referred to as the ice wall, right, they would tunnel into this thing, and then they would leave their equipment there and stuff, and they would have to go back and get warm in their little camps or whatever. And when they come back, the ice wall that they were digging into had fixed itself. It had re-solidified, and the ice had filled in. They had to dig out their own equipment. It's really interesting. All right, so yes, the mirror symbolism for me always represents the firmament of the sky. That's the mirror. That's the reflection. It's the waters above, etc., and so on and so forth. Now, he takes that red pill, right? He wakes up in what they would call the real world, or the desert of the real. He's very pale, pasty white looking, etc. He doesn't have anything. He's basically being born again, okay? In the Bible, it talks about how a person must be born again. And one guy is like, well, how's that possible? You want me to crawl back up in there and be born, etc., blah, 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 right? It's up to us to figure out, right? You must be born again. You must come out of the matrix or the womb. The word matrix is actually in the Bible, and it's there in place of the word womb many times. All right, so here's Neo checking out space, essentially. Like, in my opinion, this represents space, okay? This is probably closer to what space actually looks like, with all these different little pods being worlds, all these different alternate Earths or whatever. And there's all these various places that you could go to. So imagine this isn't what it appears to be in the movie, but imagine that this is what space looks like. If you were to open up the sky and get out there, you would see all these little worlds, represented by these containers or these pods, boxes, if you will. And there's these plasma conduits that, go back and forth. There's all of this electromagnetics everywhere. Electricity is all over the place out there. And many of those creatures that are out there are electrically charged. And sometimes when they fall into this world, they keep that electrical charge and become sea animals. All right, so one of these machines gets up close and personal with Neo. It's got the red lights on it just to indicate that it represents the red plasma. These are the sentinels, essentially. Neo gets flushed. He goes down these tubes, and all of a sudden there's like this water slide scene, right? This is also symbolic. You'll see this in many different movies. For some reason, they insist that you watch the character like go through all this crazy water slide action, right? Why? Like, I mean, it's interesting, it's cool, but it's not that cool that it needs to be so prolific in movie symbolism. So there he is, whoosh, flying through this water slide, and they have this whole thing insisting you follow him on this journey. Why? Because it's a plasma conduit. That's what you're looking at. This is the symbolism of being born again, leaving the womb of this world, leaving Mother Earth, leaving the Matrix, whatever you want to call it, and being born again, getting out there into the electromagnetic, aka the spiritual, aka the heavens. And it's just like in the movie Goonies. That's what came to my mind when I was watching this, when they're trying to find the treasure or whatever. It's also in... this is Napoleon. This is a shot from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they go to Waterloo, right? Why did they put that in the movie? This had way too much time in the movie unless it was highly symbolic of something, right? Which it is. Now he says, welcome to the real world. Now the color spectrum has changed. It no longer has that green tint to it or anything. People's clothing has changed. They're mostly wearing sort of off-white colors and stuff like that. They're no longer wearing the black because they're not the priests of the closed off dark cities any longer. They're outside of those dark cities. So they wear white or, various shades or whatever. Off colors, grays, stuff like that. Excuse me. Now, he's introducing the crew. This is APOC. Apocalypse. Boom. That's one symbolism. Switch. Now, this girl right here could represent, I know many people are, make the connection of switching from a girl to a guy, etc. That is a part of what we're going through in the world right now, okay? I don't want to get into any politics about it whatsoever. I could care less. But I believe the reason that we're having that is because of the switch of the electromagnetics. It is a reversal. It's a switching of the energy in our world. And it reciprocates everywhere, including wherever there is energy, okay? Including us. So keep that in mind. Cipher. Cipher is something that you have to figure out. It's a riddle, essentially. Tank is over here. His brother Dozer. Dozer means to be asleep. Interesting because he actually dies. Tank. Oh, Tank. Tank was an interesting one because for me, I was trying to figure out what Tank could possibly represent. He's not super strong like Dozer looks like over here. Dozer's got the muscles showing and stuff, so you would think he would be the tank. You know what I mean? But he's not. Tank, I believe, is called this because it's short for Tanakh. Okay? This guy's the operator. He's the one that reads the coding of the Matrix or whatever. And Tanakh or Tank is an acronym in Hebrew. The T, the N, and the K. There's the... I can't remember how to pronounce it. I think it's Tevim or Tevim or something like that. Nevim, which means priests or prophets, I believe. The Nevi'im, the Nevi, or the Navi, just like in Avatar, the Navi, they're the priests of the great tree or whatever, right? And the Ketuvim, or the writings. Anyways, this guy basically represents like the Bible, essentially. And his big brother Dozer. Boom. All right. So then we go to the construct, right? Where we're introduced to Morpheus once again, who is giving the as above, so below hand symbol. It always breaks my heart when I see people interpret these things and all they do are... The first thing I hear is just like, I hear Waterboy all over the place. It's the devil. Oh, look what he's doing. It's the up and down. It's the devil. That's Baphomet. That's the devil. Shut up. Stop. Okay? Just stop with all that. These are world secrets, okay? Maybe satanic people know of these secrets, some of them or whatever. It doesn't mean that it in and of itself is purely evil. It's just information in the form of a symbol. So anyways, he's talking about the as above and so below, which is actually a universal law. And then he does another hand sign, right where the womb would be. Christopher Finch, hey, welcome to my channel. Oh, Christopher says, I just caught that. Christopher says cipher means 0 and Neo is 1. Ones and zeros. Ooh, I like that. Very good. All right, so back over here to Morpheus. He's doing the upside down triangle, which is the symbol for the matrix or for the womb, right? Or for femininity. And he puts it right there where a baby would literally be born. So there's some more symbolism. Now, this is the white room. Okay, what they call the construct is what I call the white room. I did a video called white room symbolism or something like that. This is space. Okay, when they're showing you this symbolically is all of the potential and possibilities that are out there in heaven. Okay, in the Elysian fields where people are grown or whatever. You know what I mean? They're the endless fields. It's the Elysian fields, whatever you want to call it. Pardon me, excuse me. All right, so he says right now we're inside a computer program. All right, so if this represents heaven, or if this represents being out there in space or whatever, and space is really bright and white as I believe that it is, Neo is saying right now we're inside of a computer program. And he's like, is it so hard to believe? They have that whole conversation. Look at the television. It does the upside down triangle again for the symbol for the matrix or the womb, right? And then it says deep image. That's pretty interesting. Forgot why I took a picture of that. And he's like, this isn't real, right? Well, wait a minute. How do you define real, right? See, it's all, I love Morpheus. I like Morpheus more than I like Neo. Neo irritates me sometimes. Morpheus is cool to me, right? He's my favorite. He's a dream god, and I'm JayDreamerZ, so you know what I mean? Anyway, he's like, how do you define, he's like, before we have this conversation, Neo, let's set some definitions down, because you're coming from a world that you thought existed and it doesn't. So your world is upside down and backwards. You want to talk about what's real? Good. Let's define real. Let's both establish and set a foundation so that we can build a bridge to one another and meet in the middle. He says, real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. That's what real is. So, the Matrix, this world that we live in right now, is real. Okay? The video games you play are real. The movies you watch are real. Whatever you do in your daily life, you're going to job, all that stuff. If you go out into space, everything essentially becomes real. It's no longer nihilism. It's no longer everything is not real and therefore it doesn't matter. It is now the exact opposite. And now everything has purpose and everything has meaning and value because everything is real. You've been living in a dream world, Neo, where you've been dreaming, says the dream god. Now, he shows you the desert of the real. This is a post-apocalyptic world, okay? And he goes into telling you about how the sky was scorched and there was this rise of the robots or rise of the computers or whatever. And Neo is like, you mean artificial intelligence? A singular consciousness. Ooh, okay, I like this. That spawned an entire race of machines. So, I want to relate this to the plasma apocalypse cycle as I talk about it and as I teach it, right? I believe, it is my theory, so far, that when all of that plasma comes into our world and grounds itself, that it's all connected, okay? You could see the plasma that comes down into this world, in the plasma sphere above us and beyond. It's all connected like a root system, and therefore it is a singular consciousness. The plasma, aka spirit, okay? I believe basically over time it turned into Satan and Santa Claus and all kinds of different stuff. But it comes down into this world from time to time, and it is a singular consciousness. However, everything that it touches, it animates, it possesses, it takes control of. It is spirit looking to incorporate itself or to put itself into a body, right? So as these little branches branch out and touch all of our empty vessels that we call robots and computers and things like that, now you have a very possible reality of the Terminator's Skynet being born. from the sky above, from the net that surrounds our world, which is the plasmasphere. Anyways, so it spawned an entire race of machines. So what am I saying? I'm saying that every apocalypse or every apocalyptic scenario, or most of them, have truth to them. Okay? Rise of the machines all coming to life and becoming sentient, cars turning on all by themselves. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to listen to their master, to their root, to their core. They're going to kill. They're going to try to kill and get rid of everything and wipe everything out, because that's what they're here to do. They're here to clean house. Okay? So everything that gets possessed by it will also become murderous and try to clean house. So all these robots and all the stuff that turns on, right? Whatever it may be, is going to have that same purpose. It's going to share in that purpose until that plasma is cut off. Now it has free will. Now it's no longer connected to its source. It's no longer connected to its source. It is fallen. It is rebellious. It has free will now, basically. Anyways, that's a whole nother video. He says, we think it was us that scorched the sky. Now you'll see this a lot, the finger pointing up. It's a lot of people are trying to figure out, like, oh, what is it there? Are they trying to reference God or this and that? I believe that they're referencing the plasma above, and they're warning people of, hey, the plasma may come down one day. Anyway, enough of that. Combined with a form of fusion. All right, so then they show these pods, and so imagine that this represents an entire world, this pod right here, with one human inside of it, okay? It's just symbolic, okay? So imagine that represents an enclosed, contained world. Just outside of that world are these translucent, whitish, Fantazoid, gigantic bug things that are crawling all the way around this dome, right? Let me turn this around. That doesn't look as good. Anyways, you get the point, right? So what does that mean for us? As above, so below. This is the small version. Amplify this to the dome of our sky, the dome of our world, and you can see that there are little critters, life beings outside of our world that are probably out there just crawling around doing whatever. And when our sky opens up, they fall down into our world. Those are the Fantazoids that I refer to. Endless fields. Like I said, I was talking about how this represents the Elysian fields, and you've got like plasma conduits and all kinds of stuff there. Where we are grown. We are grown. This is where we are grown. Some people, most people, are born inside of these boxes. You are the Jack or Jane in the box, okay? We are born inside of these worlds, and we get stuck here to go through reincarnation cycles over and over and over again until eventually we figure out how to escape. Otherwise, we will continue doing the same things over and over and over again to accumulate these experiences and to break free, which is a part of the program. It's a part of the process. It's a part of it. It's a part of us. But yes, we are grown in these Elysian fields. It is a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control. Now, he starts talking about when the Matrix was first built, there was a man born inside. All right, now, time out. He's not talking about a human, okay? The man that he's talking about is what's called the squatter man or the squatting man. This is a petroglyph that you will see if you research cave drawings or rock formation, rock drawings, petroglyphs, stuff like that, right? Almost every time you'll see people drawing this exact same symbol of somebody's whose arms are like up in the air and their feet are kind of squatting down. Okay, it's known as the squatter man. That is the shape, or one of the shapes, the predominant shape that the blue beam takes whenever it shoots up out of our world. It is born from inside of the Matrix. That saving light, that savior light, that blue beam, the first man, however you want to call it. There was a man, a light, born inside of the Matrix who had the ability to change whatever he wanted. That's because when that blue beam shoots up out of our world, the world will be changed. Everything will be changed. The system will be destroyed, and etc. You get the point. To remake the Matrix as he saw fit. This is the great reset of our world, the cataclysm that befalls this world from time to time, and every other world, every other enclosed world out there. It was he who freed the first of us. Free, as in freedom, as in the great day of the Jubilee, as in setting the slaves free. This happens cyclically from time to time. They used to track it. We used to be able to know approximately when this was on its way. But we lost track of those times. After he died, that would be when the blue beam retracts, goes back down into the depths of Sheol or Hades or the inner earth or the hollow earth or whatever you like to call it. Okay, that's whenever we have another polarity reversal. Okay, when you've got one, boom, blue beam shoots up. Reverses again, all that light goes down because the green rain comes. You know what I mean? All that light is coming downwards instead of going upwards. The oracle prophesied his return. Well, duh, yeah, it's going to come back. It's a cycle. The light comes down, the light goes up. The elevator goes up, the elevator goes down. And that his coming would hail the destruction of the matrix. He's not talking about the destruction of the world. He's just talking about the destruction of the system. He refers to the matrix as a system, bringing freedom to our people. Now, Tank here says he's a genuine child of Zion. He's like, Zion, what's that? Is it a city? The last human city. The only place that we have left. And he says, where is it? Now check this out. Zion, he's saying, is the last human city. And he says, deep underground, near the earth's core where it's still warm. Well, wait a minute. There's a city near the earth's core? How could that be possible? Okay, in the movie world, how could that even be possible? If the core of the earth, their earth, whatever earth they live on their world, is like as hot as the surface of the sun, as mainstream academics teaches us. Just saying. All right, so he goes in, Neo's now training, and he's like, how is he? And he's like, 10 hours straight. He's a machine. Sometimes the truth is said in jest, right? Is Neo a machine? Are we all machines? Is it really just a machine versus machine thing, right? We created little versions of ourselves. We essentially are mechanical. We are machines that have a power source that we call spirit and energy, etc., right? Interesting. So now he's talking about this little construct program and the matrix, and he says that it has some basic rules like gravity. Remember, they're talking to you. They're talking to me. He's not just talking to Neo, and it's not all about the world inside of the movie, and it's just there for the movie, and then when you leave and you stop watching the movie, you forget all about what you were just taught. Our world has some basic rules like gravity. What you must learn is that these rules are no different than the rules of a computer system. Some of them can be bent. Gravity can be bent. Others can be broken. Gravity will break. Gravity will fall. Gravity falls. For those of you who watch that. Understand? And then he gives you an example. Fa-pow! He jumps super, super high, right? This is just like in, what's that movie where that dude from Earth goes to Mars? John Carter, right? Remember John Carter? He was just like a regular guy on Earth, but when he went to Mars, he was like a superhero because the Martian conditions were different. Do you believe that my being stronger or faster? See how he's wearing the black and white too, by the way? Has anything to do with my muscles in this place? You think that's air you're breathing? I love that part. I like when they just allow us to marinate on something. So now they're watching Neo and Morpheus fight each other, and they go, Jesus Christ, he's fast. See, that's another reference directly to Neo. They're talking about Neo, and they call him Jesus Christ. Interesting. Christ also means illuminated or enlightened or something that is shiny or literally light. Okay, just so you know. So he's like, Jesus Christ, he's fast. He's like, I know what you're trying to do. I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. He's not trying to fight. He's trying to open up your mind. Sometimes we come across like this too, like we're trying to fight, like we're trying to beat somebody or something, but it's not. Some of us just enjoy throwing little wrenches into your system so that you can snap out of it and wonder about things from time to time. He says, but I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it. Okay? It is not for us to go around pushing people into doorways of truth. It is not for us to go around shaking people violently and saying, wake up, wake up. Because then they have a screwed up experience when they do wake up and they want to go back to sleep like Cypher does. You're the one that has to walk through it. Now, load the jump program. They literally have a jump program like in so many other movies like we were talking about. You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. He's talking straight to you, straight to me. Morpheus, the god of dreams in this dream world, is literally saying we have to let it all go. This is, if you want to know how to wake up from the world as it is today, from the reality that has been presented to you, as they say in the Truman Show, you have to let it all go. You have to let go of fear. Fear is just the opposite of, I know people say the opposite of love, but I don't know about that. Fear is creativeness. It's your own creation. We create things that don't exist, that we make believe. Okay? We make ourselves believe in something that does not benefit us. And therefore, it creates what we call fear. It doesn't even exist. It's just make-believe, something that we've invested in, that we ourselves created. So we have to let go of the thing that we have created, which is fear. Doubt, disbelief, same stuff, basically. All right, so now he's in a little training program. Now, this is interesting. There's a lot of twins in this scene. They're all wearing black and white, etc. Neo's bumping into everybody, okay? This is how it is when you first start to wake up, right? You'll notice that you get a lot of opposition and stuff, but the more practiced you are, the more seasoned you are at navigating and truth-seeking and stuff like that, the more that these obstacles and the people of the world won't bother you so much, the more that you'll be able to walk right through them like Morpheus does. Now listen to what Morpheus is saying. This is a beautiful scene because it's hard to pay attention to what Morpheus is actually saying because of all of the action that's happening. We are concerned about Neo. We're like, oh man, he's bumping into everybody. That's crazy, blah, blah, blah. But many of us had to rewind this and watch it again so that we could really pay attention to what was actually being taught. Okay, there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of noise in the Matrix. And he says that system is our enemy. We have a system in this world. The system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around and what do you see? He's talking to us. Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people that we are trying to save. Now, here's the thing. They can't actually save anybody, okay? He talks about it, how they have a rule that they don't free a mind once it's reached a certain age. They're not saving anyone. They are being lights. They are guides. They are showing other people that there may be more to the world. They are throwing out breadcrumbs left and right for leaving a trail for people to follow, right? But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. Now, let me just put in my own 2 cents on this real quick. The people of the world drive me nuts, okay? In general, most people, okay? I don't even like going out of my own house. I can't, it's irritating, okay? I see little sleepwalkers all over the place, right? And then from time to time, easily they can become plasma possessed and all of a sudden turn into one of the agents or whatever, right? It's scary. I don't like it. It's not fun. It's not something I enjoy. However, it is kind of fun. I mean, if I admit it, it's just like a video game. You have to have opposition for it to be fun. That makes them our enemy, okay? So just because people might like us or like you or whatever, it does not mean that they can't turn on you at the drop of a hat. It says this in the Bible. It says that, Jesus actually says this, that during those end times, that like a father will turn against a brother and siblings against one another and things of that nature. Because your family is not blood. Your family is spirit. Your family is an energetic connection. My family is what I call the good vibe tribe. which is not people who join my channel. It's not people who are members. It's not anything like that. It's those that I have a connection with. It's a spiritual connection. It's an energetic connection. It's a vibe. But I do like, everyone's called the Good Vibe Tribe. Most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. Think about that. They're not ready. You might want so bad to go around sharing your version of the truth and your version of revelation that you had or whatever. Hey, Helix, welcome to my channel. But these people are not ready. Why would you unplug someone who's not ready? Why would you wake someone up who's not ready to be woken up? You know what I mean? Many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Just like Cypher in this movie. A lot of these people call the Matrix home. A lot of these people live in the upside down, and they themselves have grown upside down. That's all they can only see upside down. So anything right side up to them is going to be upside down. It's not going to make sense to them. They're not going to like it. It's going to aggravate them. And here's the distraction. He says, "Are you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?" There's the woman in the red dress. Everybody else is in black and white. Everything's bumping into him, this and that. All of a sudden, they're asking you this, okay? They did this purposefully to see if you were paying attention. Were you listening to what Morpheus had to say? Or were you distracted by all of a sudden the pretty red colors? You know what I mean? The pretty girl in the dress or whatever. The Matrix does this. The moment that something good comes our way, it tries to distract us. Distractions will come left and right. It will amplify the noise. Are you listening to me, or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? Now look again, because that distraction can just as easily, at the drop of a hat, turn on you and become an agent. So he's like, well, what are they? What is an agent? They are sentient programs. They can move in and out of any software that is still hardwired to their system. That means that anyone that we have not unplugged, and that means for us, anyone who is not waking up, okay, anyone who is not becoming enlightened, anyone who is not actively progressing away from their old self of selfishness and delusion, right? Anyone that we haven't unplugged is potentially an agent. These people can call the police on you, take you to court, have all your stuff taken away, throw you in jail, legally. I've seen people you've heard about it on the news and stuff. People are like legally killed, murdered, all kinds of stuff because they're backed by the system. They are everyone and they are no one. We have survived by hiding from them, right? Like I just said a minute ago, I don't even like to leave the house, and by running from them. But they are the gatekeepers. They are holding all of the keys. Someone is going to have to fight them. Someone is going to fight them. But guess what? He's not talking about me. They're not trying to instigate riots or anything. They don't want you to go out and start, fighting police and judges and people who are part of the systems and doctors and lawyers and all of that, clergy or whatever. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying to go out and physically fight these people, right? That's fighting fire with fire. That's not going to work. Or fighting red plasma with red plasma. Someone is going to have to fight them, and that is the one. That is the Neo. That is the blue beam. That is Jesus. That is whatever you would like to refer to it as. It is something that happens naturally. It is Mother Nature itself. It is the energy of the world that will become so imbalanced that it will flip and it will turn the tables. I promise. It's the law of rhythm. It's known as the law of rhythm. Yet their strength and their speed is still based in a world that is built on rules. And because of that, they'll never be as strong or as fast as you can be. So then all of a sudden there's a sentinel out there, and they're like a sentinel, a killing machine designed for one thing, which to me is redundant. So they arm an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. How do they fight the sentinels? Now the sentinels are what they call the squiddies, right? Little squiddies that go wherever, right? That's plasma, okay? They might look like machines or whatever in the movie. That's for symbolic. That's for Hollywood effect, okay? Hey, Lucky Truth just gave a donation. Thank you. Peace to you as well. All right, so the reason these squiddies look like that is because they represent plasma. That's why they have red eyes and stuff. It's the red plasma. Now, plasma, this is how they fight it. It's an electromagnetic pulse, okay? Plasma is pushed away by magnets, okay? Magnetism is like a weapon against plasma. So, something to keep in mind. That's also why people used to hang up horseshoes, or it was actually horseshoe magnets above their houses, right? They would keep out the plasma. They did not want the bad spirit in their house, so they put magnets around their houses or at their entrances to their houses. Electromagnetic pulse, boom, disables any electrical system in the blast radius. That's also what happens to our world, is I believe that we have a worldwide electromagnetic pulse. And we know this because we talk about it. You know, you've seen it on the news, like, is China or North Korea building an electromagnetic pulse bomb or whatever? Like, probably not. You know what I mean? But I believe that we pick up on these things subconsciously. I mean, it could be. But it's because I believe the whole world has an EMP, essentially. All right, so here's Cypher trying to decipher the Matrix. He knows how to read it, and he pretends like he doesn't. Okay? He's a spy. You got to be really careful, because sometimes you got people that wake up, right? And then they say, screw it. They say, I like the way things used to be better. So, for example, I'll just throw an example out there. There could be enlightened YouTube channels out there, or whatever platform, right? Where somebody starts off like, yeah, totally, I'm waking up and this and that, and I'm on board. But then they take a wrong turn down the rabbit hole, and they get frustrated, they get confused, they don't ground themselves, and they get angry, and they turn on that truth, and they try to go back. Unfortunately, it's impossible, essentially. So he's like, why didn't I take the blue pill? So this guy's over here pretending like he can't read the Matrix code. He totally can, because he's working out a deal with the devil, which is the agents, which is the plasma above. His deal is to go back into the Matrix. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, actually, let's watch this next part. Okay, this is actually where he makes the deal with the devil. The deal with the devil is, I believe, 100% accurate. It is real. I don't believe in a little pitchfork wielding red devil with pointy tails or anything like that. Okay, I do believe in the red plasma and the blue plasma and various forms of energy. So he's sitting there with the agent. Where is he? There's the agent. Agent Smith is basically the devil, representative of the red plasma in the world that's trying to clean out the world, possessing people and making them become murderous and stuff, right? So he says, Cypher says, I know the steak doesn't exist. Now, check this out. This is interesting, because Cypher likes to eat steak. Neo likes to eat noodles. That's an interesting contrast, right? He's like, I know the steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it's juicy and delicious. And ignorance is bliss. Hey, I respect that. That's his reality. That's what he desires. That's where he comes from. Whatever. I don't want to judge. It's not my choice, though. Okay? So he's sitting there, he's making a deal with the agents. And he's like, then we have a deal, right? Then we have a deal. Now, the deal that people make with the devil is either to get into another world. Actually, that is the deal. I'm just going to say that. The deal is to leave this world. Okay? Cypher's deal is to get back into the Matrix, okay, which is to get back, Cypher is in space, okay? He's figured out how to leave the physical world that we live in, and he's out there physically in space. He's a space traveler, just like everybody else. He's a slider. There's various words for these people, okay? And he wants to go back into the enclosed world, the actual physical enclosed world. I believe people make deals with the devil here inside of the enclosed world to get out of it, to get into heaven, essentially. That's what they're promised. They're promised that they'll be able to leave this enclosed structure. They sit down, they tell them all the deep mysteries of the world and how it works and everything. And they talk about death. And they're like, if you stay here, you're going to die. There's all this pressure and everything. You know, everyone only lives to be about 100 years old. If you can make it out there, you'll get eternal life. You'll become an eternal. You'll become immortal, essentially, in comparison to what you are now. So they make these deals to try to get a ticket into space, or a ticket up to the Elysian fields, or to heaven, right? And it's with the devil that they're making the deal with. He's like, I don't want to remember nothing. And I want to be rich. I don't want to remember nothing. Listen to this dude. I'm a grammar person, remember? It's a double negative. That means he's going to get screwed. Because if he is put back in there, which he dies, sorry, but if he was put back in there, remember the devil is always a trickster. So if this guy says, I don't want to remember nothing, he's literally saying, I want to remember everything, which is not very wise when you're abiding by contractual law with freaking Agent Smith over here, right? I don't want to remember nothing, and I want to be rich. You know, someone important, like an actor. Now, this is really interesting because this tells me that they have the ability to predetermine where a person's lot in life is, essentially, right? Which is pretty interesting when they're in the Matrix. So, if you think about where Neo was placed, purposefully in the Metacortex Corporation. Interesting. So, then he talks to him and he's like, Mr. Reagan. Now, this guy's name, Cypher, his last name is Reagan, which is interesting. That means little ruler, right? But he wants to be an actor. And Ronald Reagan was an actor. Hey, Giomata just gave a donation. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yes, he says, I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it. All right, so now Neo gets to all of the potentials. These are the other ones who are waking up, who are learning how to use their abilities, tapping into their abilities. That's many of us right now, before the world ends, before everything goes crazy, before Zion is destroyed or whatever. This is what happens. You have a mass awakening. People start learning how to tap into their innate abilities or activate their junk DNA, or all kinds of different ways to say it. Now look at the television in the background. It's interesting what they chose to put on the television. Gigantic rabbits. Huge, gigantic bunnies on the TV, okay? Huge, titanic conies running amok on the streets. Why? Well, I believe it's also symbolic, right? Hey, it says Jay-Z. That's cool. And there's a number 3. Interesting. Anyways, why is this symbolic? Because after the reset, essentially, we live in a tiny, shrunken down world right now. Right now, we're like the Who's in Whoville. We're all tiny. But everything grows after the reset. Everything gets way bigger because the world's pressure has been depressurized. There's no pressure pushing everything in. Everything starts to grow and grow and grow and grow. And then it's possible that the gravitational pull, once it's restored, or force, or whatever you would like to call it, is weakened. And it slowly restores back to its full power like it is today. All right, so here's the kid with the spoon, also holding it over one of his eyes, the one eye symbolism, right? And he says, there is no spoon. Well, there really isn't, right? Nothing is what it seems, okay? It's just an extension of us. It's an extension of everything else. Everything is connected. And if everything is connected, there cannot be individuality. There cannot be separateness. There can only be one. And if everything is connected and if everything is one, you cannot have enemies except for yourself. And then that's the only way that you can wake up, is by stopping having enemies, because you're just fighting yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to know thyself, which is, we'll come to that here in just a second. Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It's only yourself. See? Boom. Simplicity. Thank you, kid. Appreciate it. He's like the little Avatar kid, right? What was that kid's name from The Last Airbender? That's probably who this kid is. A little airbender in there. Anyway, so he goes in to talk to the oracle, and he's like, it's Latin. It means know thyself. Temet nosce. Now, the same exact phrase was not written in Latin, but it was written in Greek above the Temple of Delphi. I believe the oracle, where the Oracle of Delphi was, right? It said, know thyself. All right, so know thyself, okay? what does that mean? It does mean to look inward. It does mean to, like, be at peace with who you are and all this kind of new agey type stuff. But it also means to look around and know thyself. Experience yourself, okay? Because you're experiencing yourself all of the time, okay? When you're upset at the person in front of you and you have road rage, that's yourself. Whenever you witness the miracle of birth, that's yourself. Like, everything is yourself. So when we internalize it and make it all us, then we grow. Anyway, so she's like, you know what I'm going to say, right? And he's like, I'm not the one. Now, she didn't say that. He said that. He said that, not her, right? And she's like, don't worry about it. As soon as you step out of that door, you'll start feeling better. You'll remember that you don't believe in all of this fate nonsense, that you're in control of your own life, right? Now, let me rewind that just a bit, okay? Pretend this is you. Pretend this is a movie that you're watching that's super deep and just speaking to your heart about so many of life's issues and truths, right? We go to the movies, we learn something, or we think we do, and then she says, don't worry about it. As soon as you as soon as you leave the movie theater, right? You'll start feeling better. You'll remember you don't believe in all this fantasy and myths and legends and whatever. You're in control of your own life. You're back in the matrix out there. People forget these things when they leave the movie theaters or when they put down a book. You read a book, boom, you're in there. It's changing your life, everything. You put down the book, and all of a sudden you're distracted by the girl in the red dress immediately, right? All right, so this gets to the point. Yeah, oh, Aang, thank you. Yes. Sonia Gower says, JayDreamerZ, the airbender's name is Aang. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so we got the cat that goes past, and he has a deja vu. And he's like, whoa, deja vu. And they're like, what? Now this guy's like, whoa, the code's all messed up, right? He's looking at the code when there's a deja vu. It's like there's a ripple in reality, in the code. A deja vu is usually a glitch in the matrix. It happens when they change something. And I've talked about this a few times before. I love deja vu. I try to hold on to it. I try to make it last as long as possible because I like to try to figure it out. Most people get uncomfortable. They're like, ew, I don't like this. And they try to just have it stop happening. Many people will be like, do something you've never done before. You know what I mean? No, that's not the purpose. That's not the point. It is something that has made you aware that is something different and unnatural, unnormal happening, abnormal, whatever, right? Something abnormal is happening and it's knocking on the door of your mind. Hello? Hi, reality is a little different right now. You might want to look into that. But most people are trying to shake it off and say, stop happening. Stop it. Stop. Ew, I don't like it. I don't like deja vu. Okay. Well, I don't know what else to tell you. All right. Here's the spiral staircase again. Now, Cypher's pissed. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of going door to door, insisting upon your truths and waking other people up who are sleeping, okay? Because then they turn into this guy. They turn into Cypher. He's like, I choose the Matrix. Put me back in there. Hey, whatever. You know, there's sleepers in the world. They love this world. That's fine. That's their home. That's how they like it. I look forward to a different home. I look forward to a time when this place is different and it becomes a home instead of just a place where I reside. You know what I mean? Now, Agent Smith, let's talk about this monologue. Billions of people just living out their lives. You know, he was actually V in V for Vendetta. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. It's pretty interesting. This dude's a pretty good actor. Billions of people just living out their lives. Oblivious. Now, I wrote a book called Ancient Oblivion. The word oblivion means to forget. Just like if you ever see The Labyrinth, remember when Sarah, the main character, she falls down into the oubliette. Oubliette means a little bit of forgetfulness, basically. It means to forget. Oblivious comes from oublier, which means to forget, right? So billions of people oblivious, forgetting. They forgot. Most people in this world have forgotten. There is a hidden history, a past that defines us, that we have forgotten about. Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Now, the first human world that he's talking about was a paradise. It is the garden paradise. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's cyclical. We're going to return to the first Matrix, which is the golden age. Look at all that green popcorn. Isn't that sweet? I like that. Anyways, we're going to return to the golden age. Okay, it's a cycle. It happens all the time. So he is just showing you the cycle that they are currently in at that point in time. It's like the fifth Matrix world or whatever, or the sixth one or whatever, right? No one would accept the program. So that's exactly what's going to happen to us in the future. We will go through another golden age. It'll be blissful. It'll be great. But evil will pop its nasty head in and have a look. And, you know, it'll all start over. And it's a cycle. If you're in here, okay, if you're inside of the washing machine of the world, you will be put into the cycle, okay, until you leave, until you're cleansed. Then the laundry's done. No one would accept the program because as soon as we started thinking for you, it really became our civilization. Hold on. Let me rewind that because that's the part that was really upsetting me towards the beginning of this. Remember I was saying I was having technical difficulties and stuff? I'm so frustrated personally with technology. I can't stand it. I can't stand all of the little notifications on the phone. I can't stand how people get suckered into giving away like all the passwords. Jeez, man, I can't even remember my own password now because back when I was a kid, you just needed one password. It was in your head. It was something you knew. It could be anything you want. It didn't have any rules to it. It didn't have to be 15 letters long and it have to have a special character and have to have a capital and have to have a number and this and that. Like, no. That is the machine thinking for you. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of that. I get frustrated with technology all over the place. Now, I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. So I get frustrated a little bit by it. That's something I'm working on. It's part of my path, something that I need to get through or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, he's right. As soon as we allowed our own creation, the robots of the world, to start doing the thinking for us. I don't even have human beings calling me and bugging me with telemarketing anymore. Whatever happened to those good old days when you could just yell at another human being like, stop calling me, right? You can't. Try to call Comcast one of these days and see how long it takes you to get past their robot that answers the phone. If you want a good example of that. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you correctly. Did you say go back to the main menu? Or you know what I mean? Like it's infuriating. It's frustrating. And pretty soon people are going to not even care about their passwords anymore. Pretty soon people are not going to care about their security. They're going to give it all away. All of us are going to give our world to our very own creation and say, here you go, you take it. We'll be your slaves. The word robot means slave. We are turning into robots to the robots. So, what's the answer to that? Right? Man, it gets deep. I don't like it. I'm frustrated by it. Ooh, man. Let's move on. You get the point. You get the frustration there. But he makes a point. He's totally right. Okay? I can't fault Agent Smith. He's telling the truth. There's truth in everything. As soon as they started thinking for us, it became their civilization. This is not a human world any longer. It's slowly turning into a world of robots. And then we start trying to be robotic. Our empathy is removed. Our care, our compassion, our concern. You know what I mean? Like customer service, for example. It's one of my huge ones, man. There used to be such thing as customer service. People that owned businesses really cared about you and about you liking them and enjoying their product and their product being something that is praiseworthy. And you know what I mean? Like all of that type of stuff. But now It doesn't matter. It's all a numbers game. It's all numbers. Whew. It's all a numbers game. I'd like to share a revelation I've had. It came to me when I tried to classify your species. Now, I believe he's going to reference the world as it is today. I realized that you're not actually mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium, but you humans do not. You move to an area and you multiply until every natural resource is consumed. The only way you can survive is to spread to another area. So, that's us today. We just are consumers. We're eaters. We just consume stuff. We take. We're no longer givers. We're just takers, right? It's all we do. And I'm saying we just in general. I love all of you anomalies out there, but that's what we do. I didn't even know. Did you hear about the stuff happening in San Francisco and California where people are just going into stores and just taking? Nobody's doing anything about it. So there's all these people robbing stores left and right. And like literally, I'm sorry, not literally, actually, there are people, other humans, many of them that just stand aside and watch. And they're like, oh, wow, look at that. The person's just robbing everything. Oh, that blows my mind. Not in my town. You better not. You better not bring that over here to Colorado Springs. Anyways, I digress. Let's move on. There is another organism that does the same thing. It's called a virus. Sorry about that. Starting to lose my voice. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure. Now, time out, because I in part agree with him. Only in part, because there's two sides to every coin. There are two cures, okay? One is him, which is death, okay? However, is that really a cure inside of a contained box world where everything just gets recycled and starts over the moment it dies? No. No, even if Agent Smith were to kill Neo right then and there, or Morpheus or whoever, he's still in that world. He would still be recycled. He would still go through reincarnation. He would be reincarnated and plugged back into the Matrix or whatever, right? So he's not really the cure. He's under a delusion himself. He just thinks that he is the cure. The real cure is Neo, which is how the whole movie series basically ended during part 3. Neo is the cure. Okay? And what Neo needs to do, which is the blue light, which is the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, okay? It's the goodness that's inside of some people. It needs to infect others. So this guy's like, I must get out of here. This is what your leaders are saying, okay? They need to get out of here because there's an apocalypse on the way. They're aware of it, I believe. And they want out. Okay, they don't want to get destroyed and get stuck in here and reincarnate into this world again. They want to get back out there and regain their immortality and traverse the heavens and be the gods of so many other worlds or whatever. But they can't. They're stuck here in this world. I must get free. Once Zion is destroyed, there is no need for me to be here. I have to get inside Zion. See, this guy doesn't even realize what he's saying, right? This is his purpose. His purpose is to get inside of Zion and to destroy everybody, basically. All right, so then there's this whole scene where the helicopter, Trinity's, they're trying to rescue Morpheus. They get a helicopter, there's all that whole scene and everything, right? Dodge this. All that stuff happens, and then this helicopter smashes into the building. Boom! Kapow! And then the whole building drops at free fall speed straight to the ground and then just turns into debris and dust and rubble. No, it doesn't. I'm just kidding. You know why? You know why that didn't happen in the movie? Because that doesn't happen ever. Just thought I'd point that out. All right, so finally he's fighting one of the people, and he's like, goodbye, Mr. Anderson. And he's like, my name is Neo. Boom. See, I love this part, because this is whenever the blue beam shoots up. This is whenever he he holds on to, he finds himself. He finds his true identity. He might call himself by another name, but he didn't really believe it until right then and there, right? He refused to go by his slave name any longer, right? I am not my slave name. I hardly ever go by Jason, right? I love it when people call me JayDreamerZ in real life. Like, that's the name I chose for myself. But then there's a slave name, which is the one that we were just given, like a little name tag. Here you go. This is you. This is everything you're going to be in life. Nah. I love this part. Anyway, so then let's see. He starts shooting, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he totally kills Neo, right? So Neo dies. Then as he's dying, there's like this sort of microcosm apocalypse happening inside of the Nebuchadnezzar. I forgot to talk about the Nebuchadnezzar, but whatever. Oh, isn't that interesting? I can't believe I froze that right there where it's on his forehead. How cool is that? It's right on his pineal gland. Boom! Fa-pow! Right there. Shapow! So, Neo's dead. He comes back to life by and through the kiss of life. Love. Okay? Love is the core of all of this. I know most people aren't really too excited when they see action movies. The kissing part, like, is this a kissing movie? Right? That's kind of all of our reactions. Like, we want to see the action. We want to see the death. We want to see the saving. We want to see the explosions. This is all about love. This is how you live. That's what living is. Life is love. It's literally the same word. And this time I mean literally. Life is love. If you are not loving, which is an action, not a feeling, then you're not alive. So how do you wake up? How do you truly live? By loving others. By adding to, by contributing, by being selfless. Because you have so much abundance, you just give. Right? Could be whatever. It could be a compliment. It could be money. It could be a gift. That's life. That's living. So then he wakes up. Again, he's resurrected. He's born again and again and again. He keeps getting born, right? And he's like, no. He stopped. All the bullets are coming his way. He does the whole thing where he slows down the bullets in the hallway. Bullets slow down. I love this part. And now he can see the code. See, this is many of us. I'm not saying like I walk around and I see the matrix code all the time, but lots of times. And the more I practice, the more I see the code. The more I see how it's all connected. The more I see how it's all working. The more I see what is raining down upon us from the stars above, which are influencers and influencing what we do and what we say and whispering into our ears to try to manipulate us. And when you can see it, you can use it to your advantage. So, like I said, Neo is the cure. So the only way that Agent Smith can be stopped is by the alchemist. Neo is the alchemist. The alchemist changes base matter, this guy right here, into gold. Light. Whatever he touches, he turns into light. He becomes one with it. So, boom! Agent Smith explodes in crazy fashion. Now, remember, that's not actually the Agent Smith or whatever. That was like the body of whoever he was possessing at that particular moment in time. So, Agent Smith gets to come back in the next movies and stuff, right? Then Neo's like, does that crazy flex. I love that part. And he's a light being, right? He's just full of light at that point in time. Is Neo always full of light? No. Even after this movie, when he sees everything and all that, he'll regress. We all fluctuate, okay? Don't think that just because you are woke or you've woken up or whatever, that you're just going to constantly walk on water all the time. No. You'll have times when you walk on water. You'll have times when you start to sink. You'll have times when you go down under for a while. Okay? It's a rhythm. It's a cycle. And right now, he's on top. The king's to Neo. System failure. And this is the end of the movie. He says, I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I didn't come to tell you how it's going to end. Right? Neo says, I came to tell you how it's going to begin. This is also what I have to say to all of you. When I talk about the plasma apocalypse, I am not here to tell you how it's going to end. Okay? I talk about it. You'll hear pieces of the ending, but it doesn't end. It begins. That's the hope. Okay? We look and we see life. We don't see death. We see life everywhere, just like Neo. So when I talk about the apocalypse, that's why I can do it with a smile on my face, because it's not the end. It's not death. I'm not going to talk to you about how everything ends. I'm going to tell you how everything begins, because it's one and the same thing. It's all life. It's all connected. The system fails when Neo becomes the light, right? When the light makes its appearance in the world. Whether you call that light Jesus or Allah or Krishna, whatever you like to call it, it's the light of the world. And when that light shows up, the system fails. Everything changes. We have a great reset. And then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls. Without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. I don't believe in borders. Okay? That's why I hate politics. All this arguing. Oh, we got to have a wall. Oh, we got to throw up borders. Oh, go back to your country and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And this is mine and this is yours and you stay there and I'll stay here, and separation and division, etc. It's non-existent. It's pretend. It's pretense. It's make-believe and it's fear. A world where anything is possible. Remember that cop at the beginning? It's not possible. He's plugged in. He's limited. Those of us who are unplugged and who are waking up, we become unlimited. Everything is possible. The key is creativity. The key is returning to like a childlike innocence where you can use your imagination once again and you won't be judged. You don't have fear of what other people may think because you do so. So, music kicks on. Oh, it looks like a grid, right? Doesn't all these cities that we have, don't they look like little computer chips and grids and stuff? Now all of a sudden Neo can fly. Now there's flying and stuff, right? This is more plasma apocalypse symbolism. People getting sucked up, all that other stuff. That's for another time. Now, I did include this. This is a little clip from the new preview. I will be watching this tomorrow. I did want to point this one particular clip out. This is from part 4 that comes out tomorrow, right? A lot of people are talking about this duck scene, okay, with the duck on his head. Why in the world do they make a point to show Neo with a rubber ducky on his head, right? This is symbolic. This is, boom, center stage. They're showing you. Well, I already told you, Neo represents the blue beam. Right? Remember how I said that the ancient survivors, they drew the beam on the rocks and stuff? They were trying to carve out like the spiral in the sky that they saw, or like the squatting man figure as the blue beam shoots up and makes different images in the sky and stuff. Well, one of the things that they would draw and one of the things they would see, and this is why it's drawn on rock and stuff, because this is drawn by survivors of the apocalypse, not cavemen who don't understand anything, and so they made up weird stuff. No, this is what they saw. They saw this figure that sort of looked like a man. That's why we take that shape. We're plasma, okay? That's why my hand has a trunk, or my arm has a trunk, and then it branches out. Or my body has a trunk, and it branches out. We are plasma. We're plasma beings, light beings. And at the top, okay, at the top where the hole in the sky is or whatnot, the plasma leaks out of that hole and it makes different shapes. Sometimes it looks like a little menorah. Sometimes it shoots out and it looks like all kinds of different things. One of those things is a duck. Okay. So they would draw a person with a duck on his head. And that is our showing of the Matrix. I hope you guys had a great time breaking down the symbolism and the esoteric stuff behind the movie. It is the solstice, and the world has not ended. So yay! Yay for all of you. I'm happy for all of you people who wanted to spend Christmas with your families and open presents and celebrate. That's why we do it. We celebrate if it doesn't happen. Okay? Yes, we made it. We get another year or whatever it is, right? Unless it's the summer apocalypse, which is another story. But hey, I'm happy for you guys. Go enjoy your solstices. Enjoy your winter celebrations of whatever they are. Enjoy reminiscing about and looking forward to the day that the light returns to this world. And above all, enjoy loving one another. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
Christmas!